Now, witches are very curious people.
Hello and welcome to The Witching Hour, a monthly podcast for the creative horror fan, where we discuss topics related to the horror genre from creepy history, lore, media, and anything creative, all with the hope that we can inspire and motivate you to create your own horror. My name is Sade.
I'm Ravel.
And I'm Ophelia.
You guys sound so energetic.
Together we make.
What?
We are your hosts.
I'm distracted. My dream boy is espresso.
Oh my god. We're not getting into that. We're
talking about vampires today, so that includes sexy vampires too, right?
We could get there.
Yeah.
We could get there. Alright. Before we get to the bulk of the episode, we do have some quick announcements / reminders for listeners and patrons. First, for patrons, should have already posted this to the Patreon, but I am going to be mailing out goodies, like a little goodie bag of sorts for our patrons for Halloween.
Oh shit, what?
Yeah. Well, this is you guys don't have to worry
goodies.
about this. Well, I guess I can mail you one too. Yeah, I should do that. All right, give me your address later, and I'll mail you one. I'll mail you exactly.
Yay!
I'll get you both get one actually. You know what?
Oh,
Because you guys don't
I
get
feel
paid.
special.
Not like I get paid. But I'll put one together for you guys too. It'll be mostly candies, some cute little Halloween things, maybe some homemade things, for patrons that have been with us for more than a month already. But I need patrons to make sure that they have provided their addresses through Patreon so that I can mail those out ASAP.
I'm just thinking about the fact that don't we have some international ones, or do they?
I don't think we do.
I mean, we don't. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know we have some international friends that we'll shout out to here and then, but they're... Oh, actually, one of them is in Australia. Hi, Naru. Be good. Listen to your mother. I love you.
I mean, Australia has addresses. Like,
Yeah,
you're allowed to mail stuff to them.
No, they don't exist, Ophelia, and the U.S. Postal Service is about
You have to. The only key is that you have to throw it up north, so it comes back down around there.
No, but remember, I'm sure you look at politics. We're about to get dropped from like the National Postal Service. They're not renewing it or something like that. Haven't you heard about that?
Anyway, also announcements.
Right, your representative.
We're bringing back our jack-o'-lantern contest from last year. We want to make it an annual thing. Hopefully it keeps being an annual thing, but we're going to bring it back for this season. You can find information on creativehorror.com. I'll put the link in the show notes, but we are bringing them back from next year, and I'm excited to see what entries we get. If you are in an area where you can't carve a pumpkin, you can carve a watermelon or any other type of gourd you can get your hands on, and submit your pictures and just more.
Any kind of gourd?
Yeah, we carved a watermelon last year in a video. I'll link you to it later.
Burb Googling gourds.
We are gonna have
my wildest option.
We are gonna have a cash prize for the winner this time.
Hey, what?
Yeah. Not a big cash prize, but we are gonna have a cash prize, and you can find, and maybe some smaller prizes. I'm still planning it because we're in September when we're recording this, so I'm still putting it all together. But you'll find the details on creativehorror.com, and check that out. Make sure you have PayPal though if you want the cash prize. Okay, you guys got any announcements?
I thought this gourd was a bong, but it was just a gourd with a bird sticking out of it. So that's where I'm at today.
That's kind of where you're at all the time, isn't it?
You know what? I have a very particular brand that I'm cultivating. And it's doing me so well so far.
Well, I guess following that train of thought, we'll move into our first segment, and you can tell us what you've been up to, Ophelia. How's life?
Life's been great. I just surpassed 500 Twitter followers, and I feel very proud of myself.
I love it.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I also purchased an iPad. I emptied my bank account so I could draw pictures on the internet.
You gonna post?
But you know what? It's amazing. The Apple Pencil, fantastic. This whole situation, amazing. I can draw pictures again. Now I leave suspicious tiny drawings of cat faces on everything at work.
Yay!
That's God's work right there.
Doing God's work.
What about you, Raybell?
What have I been up to? What's a good question? Mostly my usual creative pursuits, which I flutter about, and I need to be more focused. I started trying to write again, and I have been drawing more.
Yay!
But yeah, so that's always a plus. But definitely for me, I don't know. I want to give the old novel writing a shot again, because every time I read other published novels, I always have this moment
I
of
could do that, but better.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because that's read recently too.
Yeah, because I think what
the standards are pretty low. No.
Yeah, what always gets me is I'll see. And man, people just love writing wish fulfillment stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, when you have all this opportunity to say something with your writing.
Yeah.
Although I understand why there's so much of that stuff now.
But exactly, I'm like, well, I can be self-indulgent too. Let's do this.
Exactly, though. Yeah. See, because that's also part of the thing, is that's what we need right now. Because there's a fine line between too much of it and also, this is necessary because human society needs an escape.
Yeah.
Shit's dark.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Shit's fucked, as they say.
Goodness gracious.
And why not share that with other people? And that's the real thing. Is sharing your art with other people in times like this is extremely important, I think.
Hey, check out my OC. It's a cat boy.
You know what? Even if it's the cat boys, you share that shit with the world.
Nothing wrong with
You share those cat boys. You live your cat boy dreams.
You live your fucking truth.
But I was gonna say, since this will be coming out in October as well, I'm gonna be doing Inktober. I should be doing it right now when you're listening to this.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
It too. Should we all do it?
Yeah, we're okay. If you're up for it, Ophelia, I'm gonna be doing it as well. It's not gonna be.
Damn, you had to make that sound real intense. I'll just do terrible ones on the days that I can't do enough of them.
Yeah, it'll be
me.
to your own level that you want to do it. Because I know, Raybell, you mentioned you're gonna do it digitally, so you're already.
I'm gonna do it on an iPad, so...
Yeah, I was probably gonna do it on my iPad.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna try and, instead of doing ink, I might do some ink, but it's gonna be, I want to play with watercolors.
Yeah.
Some watercolor. I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want, essentially.
Watercolors are dope.
Yeah.
Brett's mom's
and
really
I'm not gonna be going off of the official, Inktober list. There's this artist that I
There's a list? How does Inktober work?
Oh boy.
Well, there's I know there's an official Twitter account, and they put out the list. I'll send it to you if you want. I'm pretty sure the Witching Hour Twitter also retweeted that list. So that's on there if any of our listeners are curious about the list and maybe want to try the challenge. For those that don't know about it, normally Inktober is you stick with traditional materials, traditional ink materials. It could be like ink pens or fountain pens, and you just do an ink drawing a day based on the prompts that the list of prompts that is provided. A lot of artists will make up their own lists to go off, because I know a lot of people really like they make Inktober Gore-tober, so they do like gore themed art, because it's more in line with it being Halloween, the season for Halloween.
I do. Yeah. I do like about Inktober as well, just in case like people are like, well, what is it? The prompts are pretty vague.
Yeah,
too,
they're like one-word prompts. You interpret them how you want. You just pretty much draw what you want. And you don't even have to go off the list of prompts. If you just want to do an ink drawing of whatever the hell you want every day, the challenge is to do one drawing a
cat
day.
boy every day.
Do it. Fucking do it.
Guys, what if I do a cat boy every day? Don't you dare.
Yeah, there you go.
God.
Do it.
Why can't I figure out how to take a screenshot so I can show you my ridiculous pictures of what I'm working on? I'm oppressed, you guys.
I know nothing
I'm
about
oppressed.
Apple, so I can't help you there. But yeah.
You know what? I figured it out.
So
Apple's
I guess
not
all
depressing.
three of us want to attempt the challenge then?
In some form or another, it sounds like, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then we will report back on that.
Does that mean we have to make our own list?
No, you don't have to make your own list. You don't have to have a list at all.
Well, I just meant for the three of us.
Oh, for the three of us? I'll link you guys to the list that I'll be going off of.
Show me this shit.
The list that I'm going to be using is from a artist that I follow on Twitter who does some really cool watercolor pieces that I like. Don't know, I've never said their name out loud, so I don't know how to say it, but it's just letters in my mind right now. But I'll link that in the show notes too. If anyone's curious about that, yeah. But shout out.
I looked at it. It's interesting, but it's like I can't. Oh man! But given that I'm not the goriest person, as like I'm just gonna do Inktober's official list.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so it's really like last year. I think I attempted it and I didn't have a list at all. I think I only did it for like 2 or 3 days before I surrendered. But I'm really gonna give it my best this time. And then. Should we announce right now that we're gonna possibly try NaNoWriMo?
Well, I am.
Oh, fuck that nonsense.
I'm gonna do it. I'm fucking doing it this year. I don't care how much
More
it hurts.
power to you, because, I will send all my love and beliefs in those who can. I could never do it myself. I too much ADHD.
Oh, no.
It is.
See,
it is a good challenge. It's a fucking crazy challenge. What it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I have done 50,000 words in a week, so I feel like I don't have a fucking excuse not to do it in a month.
How many words did we do over 3 nights together?
It was something ridiculous. I think it was almost novel length. I know one of our vampire werewolf shenanigans was 91 pages.
Yeah, and then something crazy like that. If I attempt NaNoWriMo this year, it's going to be on my typewriter that I have. I have a manual typewriter, Olivetti Latera 32, and I love him, and I want to type things on him, but if I do that, it's going to be very difficult to keep track of word count, so it's going to be goal is a page or 2 a day, and then at the end of the month, I will count my words and see if I hit it or not.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'll relieve the stress of being oh no, I only did this many words. I have to type even more this day. I think a not knowing at all will alleviate that stress. But that's my idea. We'll see what happens, and we will report on all of it later. And yeah, I guess, we got a lot of plans for this fall-winter season.
That 'tis the season to be creative.
Yes. I mean, it is my season. I love fall so much more than the rest of the year. I am so done with summer, guys. So done.
Summer can fuck right off to hell. Where it belongs, just the heat.
Also,
anyway, I live in the Pacific Northwest for a reason.
Exactly.
But I do like having 3 whole different ones to enjoy, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But going with the fall season, just what I've been up to since the last we recorded together, I've started on a doll for Halloween. Oh, and I've started on a doll for Day of the Dead, because I wanted to do a doll for that too. And that's pretty much all I've got to share.
doing stuff with your dolls.
Yeah.
And we're doing our usual plotting.
Yeah, we and Ravel and I have actually been working together again and are rebranding our joint work, and we'll probably share more details about that later, so unless we want to say something now, technically, by the time this episode comes out, we should have a 1 story on Kindle, is the plan.
that the plan?
I would love that to be the plan. Like, that's how
fine with
quickly I
me.
want that one out.
That's fine with me. Yep.
Hey everyone, Rebel and I threw some gay smut up on Kindle. Go check that out. Oh.
There you go.
And if that is true, if we got our goal done, I'll put a link to that in the show notes too.
Or else you'll just put a frowny face.
Otherwise it'll be like we failed.
Okay.
Alright, but let's get into the actual reason we're here. We're gonna talk about vampires, because it is October, and I love this month, I love this season, it's my favorite holiday, so we're gonna talk about, I think we all really love this monster. We're all big fans of vampires.
Hell yeah.
Yes!
Didn't the first RP I did with you, Ophelia, was vampires?
Fucking probably. That's all I roleplay.
Yeah, that's hilarious, because the first
like literally why would you bother with anything else?
Oh my god. What was that, Rebel?
Yeah, yours with your first RP with me with vampires.
Oh my god.
You know what?
You know what?
Vampires are all that matter.
I RP a lot of vampires.
Yeah, I hope you're ashamed of yourself.
I am
Says
totally
me,
not.
who's never RP'd anything other than vampires. Who still draws the same fucking vampire character they've had since they were 16.
Okay, we gotta provide that in the show notes now, Ophelia.
What?
I feel like we should all...
Oh, the picture of what I'm working on?
I'll have to post a picture of a vampire OC we have.
Oh shit! I did dig up.
Yeah.
I did dig up those my two babies that I love so much that I almost started crying looking at these drawings.
Wow.
I was like, look at these children! I miss them so much.
Hashtag just water sign things.
Okay, vampires. We love them. Maybe too much. So let's talk about them.
Too much.
Alright, so we're gonna do a mix of what are usually our history episodes, where I ramble on about some historical topic, and our share and tell episodes, where each of us researched a related topic and share some things on it, and we're gonna smash that together. So, I'm gonna tell you guys about the history of what becomes the modern day vampire. And then Ophelia and Ravel have different alleged vampire incidences or paranoia to share with us. So let's get right into it. We're gonna go all the way to ancient Greece.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna tell you guys about the Lamii. I'm gonna butcher so many names, guys. Get ready for it.
I took ancient Greek. I took that class.
So how is it pronounced?
Because of course I did. In case you didn't know exactly how many fucking degrees I basically have. Yeah, I don't speak it though. At all. It's dope as shit, but I could like probably help, but not really. Anyway,
it's okay. We won't linger here for too long. So we're gonna kind of start off with just like really early creatures that resemble the modern day vampire. So we're starting ancient Greek, the Lamii, which is a race of like vampire-like women, and they originate from the story of. So we got everyone's favorite slut of a man, Zeus.
Just sticking it in everything.
Fucking everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not slut shaming. I'm just trying to stress the point that Zeus got around.
Yeah.
Too much. As we all know.
With both men and women.
I cannot believe you would slut shame Zeus. In the year of our gods, 2019.
Oh.
So, freaking Zeus decides he wants to bang a Libyan queen named Lamia, who ends up bearing children for him, and guess who didn't like that? Hera.
God damn it.
So, the jealous Hera curses Lamia, who then must retreat to a cave. Poor Lamia is cursed to then, to survive, she must suck the blood of children.
Oh, me.
And so not only does Hera destroy her children, her children that she had with Zeus, she's then cursed has to suck the blood of children to survive, and she transforms into this creature that is serpent-like in that it has, like, a scaly body, I believe, but then it's, like, mismatched feet, and I think it still has the head of the human, and I saw a couple pictures where it still also had tits.
Of
so
course.
It's just, like, scales and tits sticking out.
I swear,
all you need.
I swear they're enemies in several video games I've played, so yeah.
So this now transformed Libyan queen Lamia births some of the very first Lamii vampires who can shapeshift into beautiful women who then seduce men. Yeah. And
dope.
The Lamii vampires, really quick note. Most of my notes that I got for this, I took a page from My Favorite Murder and just took a bunch of notes from a documentary that was already really good and knew what it was talking about.
Oh, nice.
Oh my god.
But in that documentary, it's called Monsters Among Us. It's a 7-part series, and you can find it on Amazon Prime. I'm like 3 episodes in, and I'm loving it so far. And the first 2 episodes are focused on vampires specifically, and most of my notes I get from the first episode. But I definitely go check it out, because there's shit that I didn't, like, that I left out, that I'll mention later. Anyway, in the documentary, they phrase this as the Lamii. Oh, what was their phrasing? They were very into partaking in the pleasures of Aphrodite, which... Correct me if I'm wrong,
They're gay.
Ophelia. No, well, that maybe. Well, no, because they seduce men. But correct me if I'm wrong, the way I read that was that they love to fuck.
Oh,
I mean...
yeah. Oh, yeah, they love to bang. That's what that means.
Hey, you got, what is it, Aphrodite and then Eros. There.
Because Artemis is the one that, like, didn't bang.
No.
A lot.
So
she was, like, less slutty. And so the thing is, there's loads of, like, Greek... But if you were a girl and you were like, I'm not as into banging, I guess. Like, you would like Artemis, probably. And that's kind of like how that works. Like, that's a really simplified
Artemis was like, let's just go hunt.
Ancient Greek culture.
Anyway, yeah. So these Lamii vampires, they really enjoy the pleasures of the body. And, to a whole nother level, they also enjoy human flesh. Eating human flesh.
Dope.
But they weren't considered the living dead. They were, like, living, breathing... cursed creatures.
This is how Demon Slayer starts. No.
And then sticking with ancient Greek, we have the Greek Verkolakis. Yeah, I'm gonna pretend I gotta be confident with this so you guys can't tell that I don't know what I'm saying.
I mean, it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good enough.
Legit, yeah.
So the Verkolakis were dead who returned to the living to start their lives over, which I thought was really a cute idea. Like, I imagined them just being like, you know what? I was a soldier before, but I'm gonna come back as a quiet farmer. Mm-hmm. So they would return from the dead to just start their lives over, or to menace the living.
This is the one that did not want to be a farmer.
Come back from the dead and menace the living.
And then they could only be destroyed by being consumed in fire and leaving only ash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which right there, that's a theme we see a lot with vampires. That they can only be destroyed in certain ways, and one being fire. And then another. Oh, I wrote this one in there for you, Rayvel.
Oh.
So there are also these things called Calicanzaros. I'm trying to put Spanish on this. Calicanzaros.
How is here? Put it in the chat. I'm curious now. You can't just say that.
I think it's Calicanzaros. Calicanzaros. These were just normal people. But they were children born between Christmas and the New Year.
Uh-oh.
Okay, what the fuck, Greece?
I don't have it in my notes if this one was Greece specifically. This might be from somewhere else. But they were children born between Christmas and New Year, which meant that they were cursed to become vampires when they die.
Oh shit! I think I was born a day too soon. Fuck.
Oh my god!
But just
I like how this is literally they were just like, guess who become vampires? Capricorns, and I was like, you know what? Fucking valid. Like, so like, hold the fuck up here. Everyone, they were just like, you know who's distinctly more evil than the rest of them? Like,
hey, we're not evil. We're just cold, okay? And
you just really like money like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, I love you guys.
Okay, no. Here's the other reason why I thought this was okay. I don't know. I say, does it count if you're like born on Christmas?
They're malevolent goblins from Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, Albania, Bosnia, and Cyprus. So, like, yeah, that's an area.
So one of the details. Okay, so I read this as born on Christmas and New Year counts, which actually I realize now is hilarious because my little cousin and my aunt are both born in this window as well.
Perfect.
Oh my god, so they're...
Because my aunt's birthday is on New Year, and I know my cousin's birthday is like 2 days prior. Oh my god. Okay, so one detail of these Kalikanzaros is that they live their lives with, they'll have nails that are too long, like talons.
Oh shit.
In plural, it's Kalikantzaroi.
And they live their whole lives being feared by everyone around them because they're cold, unfeeling Capricorns.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like little goblins like me. I love this shit. This is the best.
Yeah, and then when they die, they transform and I think they reside in the underworld.
Sick as hell.
So, when you get there, Ravel, send me a postcard.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were going to separate levels of hell now. Oops.
Well, maybe we can visit.
Yeah. Hopefully one of us gets Wi-Fi.
Fucking H.P. Lovecraft mentioned these at some point in something, but it's like, that reference sounds a little racist. And I'm like, of course it was.
Oh, no!
Oh.
This dude was a rampaging racist.
Yeah, he was. I actually watched a documentary on him not that long ago, and I was like, damn.
Oh, yeah. And you're just like, damn.
Yeah.
And it's like, for a while there, you think, oh, it's just a product of his time. A fun fact, it's not. Like, loads of contemporaries at, like, all these points in history are like, yeah, actually, being that much of a rampaging racist is pretty fucked up. Like,
you took it a little too far, dude.
Yeah, it's like people who were constantly criticizing people who were that crazy racist, like, all the time. In, like, they're writing letters to the editor and shit about people like that all the time.
Oh, God.
So fun history facts.
Sorry, I had a burp. Okay, I know. Okay, save your history facts for the after show.
You know what? I'm trying. I'm trying so hard.
I know.
We got an hour to
people pay us for the history facts.
Guys, we're already at like 30 minutes.
So we're doing good.
Okay, sorry.
But we don't want to run too long. Okay, and then moving on, we have one of my favorite vampiric monsters, the Penanggal, which is from Malaysian folklore, and this one I'm mostly jotting down from like facts that I remember, but they are really creepy and really gross. They will
fucking up Malaysia.
During the day, they just look like normal women. They live normal lives, but then at night they will detach they'll detach either, I've seen two different versions where they detach just their head and their like entire spine and entrails like pulls out with them.
Oh,
and hangs. Or it's their upper torso that detaches and they sprout these wings.
She's fucking it up, Malaysia. Put it back in the box, actually.
They sprout these bat-like wings and they fly off into the night and they will go after newborn babies. Are you looking it up?
I'm not. I'm just thinking about it and crying.
Oh, okay. They go after newborn babies or pregnant women, and this is the best part. They have these long tongues that they use to get up into the womb.
Oh!
How is... Oh my god!
To get to them delicious
how do you spell this?
Juices.
How do you spell this?
Penenggal. Shout out to Hexgen, who did a really awesome doll of one of these things.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway, so they have to return...
Southeast Asia. I did everything to them. I deserve all of this. Never mind. I was gonna say, what did I do to you? That's a horrible, not even a fun rhetorical question. Oh my god.
So they have to return to their lower half before sunrise, otherwise they die. I guess they just poof into the sunlight, but...
they don't leave a horrifying corpse for you to find. Because that would be horrible, too. Oh, it's ghost?
Ghost, vampire. I mean, it's hard to interpret things from other cultures. Yeah,
this is, like, a different, like, full-on description of one. But, like, it reminds me a little bit of, like, Jiangxis, which are, like, my other favorite. Crazy.
Oh, I'm gonna talk about those. I'm gonna talk about those next.
I love them. They're my favorite. I want to make some of these some girlfriends now.
Okay, let me finish this. You shush for a minute.
Okay.
So they have to return to their lower half before sunrise and rejoin, so that they're good to walk around during the day. So I guess the way that I originally heard that you kill them is you destroy the lower half before it comes back. Because it will, if they don't rejoin with their lower half, they're gone, they're dead by the time the sun rises. But I've also seen it that sometimes their legs will wander off.
No! Oh, God, I'm not okay with that.
And if they can't find their legs, then they're in trouble. But in the documentary that I watched, they said that if you poured glass into the lower half when they rejoined, they obviously couldn't because of all the glass, and then they would die.
Can't they just pick it out?
Well, I mean, if they
with
come back
what hands?
with their tongue.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you get desperate. If you're gonna die, you're gonna die if you don't rejoin yourself, so.
Oh, alright, well, before we traumatize Ophelia anymore, we'll move on to the Jiangxi. So the Jiangxi are the Chinese hopping vampires.
Oh.
They're so cute.
And I do like these because one of my favorite characters is from Darkstalkers, and she's one of these, Xianko.
It's also the best fucking little monsters in Ragnarok Online.
I never played. I made an account and never played. I think I only made an account because of you.
Oh, probably.
Anyway, so they can't. So there, if you haven't heard of these before, you've never seen the image of the hopping vampires. They can't walk because of the rigor mortis that has set in. So they hop around, and they have their arms extended in front of them so that they can catch their prey.
I like that whoever did the lore for this was giving some like real scientific thought.
China does not fuck around. I've been reading like more Chinese philosophy history recently, and China just like, damn, they think everything through. Like, you're always like, holy shit.
Oh no. So these will only walk around at night. So we have that element there of like they can only hunt their prey at night, like the more modern day vampires. And apparently the longer one lives, if it like becomes old enough, it transforms into this like long white-haired creature that can fly.
It evolves into a flying.
Yeah. You evolve into a flying creature? Holy shit.
Which can only be then killed with fire, bullets, apparently. And
do they have to be special bullets?
Did not specify. Maybe. Or, I guess this would only happen if they're flying around, being struck by lightning.
Oh, man.
Hella? Like, what the fuck? It's just like, I want to know who sat down and thought about that one. They're just like, well, yeah, logistically, if this ghost gets hit by lightning, do you think it dies? Some Chinese dude's like, strokes beard, yes. Like...
They don't like fire, so they probably don't like lightning, because it can burn.
Yeah, because it would set them on fire, probably. Like,
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to tell you guys a story that was in the documentary that I watched. I just pretty much just copied the story, but I want to tell it to you guys. It is from a Qing Dynasty writer, Pu Song Ling. It's from 1640.
Yes.
Okay. All right, story time. Gather round. An old man and his son live in a roadside inn miles from the city. Dusk approaches as 4 strangers arrive for lodging, only to find that all the beds are occupied. If they aren't too particular, the old man tells them, they can stay in the women's quarters. There is, however, one tenant already sleeping there, the old man's newly dead daughter-in-law.
Oh, okay.
Normal.
Yeah, just, you don't mind sleeping with a dead lady, do you?
Her body in repose there in the women's quarters until they can afford to buy her a coffin. If y'all needed an explanation as to why they were hanging on to her body.
You know what? Valid.
I bet you guys didn't even question it until I said that.
I just figured there was some weird thing going on with it. Like, we can't bury her yet. We're waiting for the, I figured they were waiting for the Undertaker to show up or something.
Yeah, some logical, reasonable shit.
The exhausted travelers throw themselves on their beds and soon are snoring loudly, with the exception of one. He hears creaks of the trestles on which the dead body is laid out. I had to look up the word trestles because I was like, what is that? And it's like the floor beams.
Oh.
Oh.
So the wood under the body is
creaking.
creaking as if the weight is shifting.
Yeah.
The dead girl rises, the shroud falling from the body as she stands. When she reaches the beds, she blows on the other three travelers. The fourth, in a great fight, stealthily draws the bedclothes over his face and holds his breath.
Me.
She breathes on his covers, but as he has no breath to steal, she returns back to her place of resting. The man scrambles to get dressed, but then hears a creak and hurries back under the covers. She is again coming for him and breathes on his sheet while he once more holds his breath.
Bitch, I heard you.
Afterwards, she goes back into repose. The man grabs his pants, pulls the doorbell, and runs for his life. He shrieks at the top of his lungs as the woman follows close behind him.
Oh,
but
God.
no one hears him.
Go back to sleep. God, why?
Would you really have just stayed there all night, or would you have...
No, I mean the lady. Why is she following him?
Okay.
It's like she
Turn
went
around and try to just have a reasonable conversation with her.
Yeah, no, she was just sleeping. She's sleeping, she gets up, still breath, like, oh, there's nothing from this guy. Lays back down, he makes some noise, she gets up and tries again. Like, aha, you are still alive. And now I shall give chase. Ugh.
Oh, Jesus.
He runs towards the city and stops at a monastery. A monk thinks he's a lunatic and refuses to let him in. The man with the dead girl catching up hides behind a tree and dodges her hands. She makes a mad rush at the tree and the man jumps back. The next morning, the monk steps out of the monastery and finds the man laying on the ground senseless. The body of the dead girl is stuck in the tree, her fingernails dug into the bark.
My one weakness, trees.
And that's it.
Oh, man.
Past her fingernails?
Well, like, she, like, dove at it so hard that her fingers dug into the trunk.
Holy shit. Creepy. Okay.
So
I thought it was cute.
so-
I thought I'd share it.
So I take it, are the other three dead?
Yeah, because she stole their breath from them.
Mm-hmm. It's like, this
Yeah.
is your life force.
So it's
Goodbye.
like, stealing their life force.
Mm-hmm.
Like they thought cats did, because they were assholes. Racist against cats.
Cats
That's not
not
a thing.
stealing your breath. They're just sitting on your chest while you're trying to sleep.
They want warmth. And
Yep.
your breath is warm.
Yeah. And they also like to listen to
Drink
your breathing
blood.
to see whether or not you're awake enough to ask you for food. Did you know that? They listen to the rhythm of your breath so that they know when you're in the, like, easiest to wake up sleep. Before they start, like, papping you on the face. Like, they know.
That's
you're
so
too far
cute.
up.
I love cats. For the record, when I started to stir this morning, Lady came and sat on my chest.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm a demon. No, I'm a vampire. That's what we're doing.
Alright, let's go over to 12th century England, where the monk William of Newburgh chronicles both history and myth. And he writes a volume, a collection of several volumes. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Yeah, no, never mind. In them, but in them, he had accounts and stories of what was called the Sanguisuca, which is Latin, or my attempt at Latin for bloodsucker.
Ah, okay.
Sangu. I got half that. What was that?
Sanguisuca. And so in this one, there's an account of a undead priest who is residing in the Melrose Abbey, and at night he appears and will haunt his former mistress.
Jeez. Leave me alone, you're dead.
And so she goes to a friar for help, asking him, like, hook me up with holy water or something. And so the friar and 3 brothers go to the abbey and wait out through the cold winter night for the vampire to return for the dead priest. But then the three brothers go inside to take refuge from the cold weather, leaving the friar alone, and he is attacked by the vampire priest.
Horror movie rule number 1: don't separate and
don't
go alone.
Separate, don't go alone. But the friar strikes the dead priest with an axe, sending him fleeing back to his coffin, and the next day the 4 men track him down, dig him up, and burn the body.
Holy shit.
Hold on, listen to this. Can you hear
that's the rain?
That is the rain outside my window.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That must have come from where I was at, because it was like that right when I started the call, but it's not as rainy now.
Damn, I'm so sad I have to close my window.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Okay, burn the body, guys.
That seems to be the consistent
Burn it down.
thing. Fire will kill it.
So some of the stories that are closest to what today's modern version of the vampire is come from like 16th century Slavic region of Eastern Europe. Most of them originating as early as the 19th century, when paganism in the area was like being replaced with Christian teachings, and despite Christianity taking over, there were a lot of pagan superstitions and beliefs that survived.
There ends up being a lot of overlap, I've noticed, just historically, because this happened in, like, with fairy lore in the Celtic countries, when they adopted, like, Catholicism and stuff, it was like they kept some of the, they blended the two. It blended a lot of local folklore with it. And so I bet that's what kind of was happening there, too.
But now the power of Jesus can stop it.
God damn it. But yeah, that's essentially what happened here with a lot of the beliefs that survived, that blended in surrounded vampirism. So they held on to a lot of those thoughts.
Did you find that shit about how they could turn into, like, terrifying butterflies?
What?
No.
Like, that's my favorite shit about Slavic vampires. Yeah, there are some Slavic vampires where it's like, instead of bats, they turn into butterflies.
Dude.
And I'm like,
that's
valid.
pretty.
Like, they're beautiful, but, like, horrifying. Like, imagine a butterfly just, like, fucking landing on your ass and just, like smoking you out with biting your neck. Like,
Can
what the
we
fuck?
use that for, like, a really pretty, like, boys
vampire
love
character?
story?
Like, I've done it.
Okay, we're gonna use that. We're so using that. We're gonna make it so gay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Alright.
I knew you would delight in that fun fact.
Some of the first instances of words that would then that would become the modern day word vampire. We have vampire.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the Bulgarian one, vampire. There's the Ukrainian upirvi. Then there's the Serbo-Croatian uparina. There's the Russian upir. And that one appeared, I think, as early as 1047.
Wow.
In like a Russian document about some evil vampire prince.
Ooh. You can turn into a butterfly.
They're out here writing fic for us.
So we had a lot of stories around this time period about vampires who were created, who were cursed either because they were excommunicated by the church, died a violent death, suicide, improper burial, or everyone's favorite, they died before they were baptized.
That's kind of interesting that it was. I feel like nowadays that applies more to ghosts and demons, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say more. Well, I would say more to ghosts because demons aren't created. Demons come from hell.
Yeah,
and so also with the stories, when someone was suspected of being a vampire, their bodies were usually dug up within 40 days of their death, which was a which was taken from the period of death and then return of Christ.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, what?
Mm-hmm. You know how Christ dies and then comes back 40 days later?
He's a zombie.
I'm told. I don't freaking remember how it goes. But yeah, that's usually that was why suspected vampires were dug up, usually within the 40 days.
Within that window.
Yeah.
So when Jesus does it, it's fine, but when somebody else does it, they're a vampire.
you have to incinerate their organ.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So bodies would be exhumed.
My organs.
Wasn't there the whole thing of like drink the blood of Christ or something?
Yeah, he's turning everybody into vampires. It all makes sense now. It's not zombie Jesus, it's vampire Jesus.
Yeah, what the fuck, bitch? Like, bitches? Like, what the hell?
Anyway.
Fools this whole time.
Yeah, it was so obvious.
Well, maybe when he came back, he didn't have these signs that people normally looked for when they exhumed a body.
He didn't have TB. He didn't come back with tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Other things that they would look for were like pliable joints, blood around the mouth, bloating, long nails.
Things that a dead body would have.
That naturally occur on a body within 40 days of death.
God.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really have. Well, we had science to some levels, but it wasn't like, Anyway, everybody's favorite ways to then dispose of the vampire: wooden stake or metal stake through the heart, head, or stomach. Cutting off the head is a popular one. Then apparently placing it between the feet. And then fire.
Mm-hmm.
Just burn it all.
Yep. or at least burn the heart and liver, as I think stories that Ophelia and I looked at were specific.
Yeah, heart and liver.
Mm-hmm. I did actually look at the, well, I didn't really look at it. Well, I looked at the... Never mind. Mary Brown? Is it Mary Brown?
Mercy Brown.
Mercy Brown. I did
Mary
look into that one a little bit.
Like the Overwatch character.
Yeah, dang it, you stole my joke. I was gonna be like Mercy Brown, not an Overwatch character, but the vampire. Yeah, no.
Oh my god, you too. So one of the first alleged real life vampires. So here, I guess is my share and tell of a real life vampire. Elizabeth Bathory, also known as the Blood Countess.
You're gonna talk about this bitch.
I'm talking about this bitch.
I read a little bit about her, Nick, so I was just like, delightful.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to go into super detail because she's just another part of the notes of ongoing notes. But, okay. Born in 1560, she was raised in Eskid, Transylvania, around the time when, when the Ottoman Empire clashes with Austrian armies. Protestantism is rising and challenging the Roman Catholicism. I always want to say Catholicism.
Time. Catholicism.
Yeah.
I'll allow it as a former Catholic.
Okay. So after secretly giving birth to a child with a peasant.
Oh no.
Just random side note. That doesn't come up at all again that I was in my notes that I pretty much took from this documentary. But she marries a Count Fernix Nazadeh. I said that as quickly as I could, so it sounded like I knew what I was saying.
You know what? Really Hungarian is extremos difficulty, so, like, don't even worry about it.
We're doing the best we can.
Yeah. Count Nazadeh was a soldier who, for the most part, left her alone and in charge of their homestead.
We'll just let her get up to her murders.
Yeah. Well, apparently he was also a very cruel person, so he was probably chill with what he was up to. Yeah, he's probably pretty damn chill.
Like, the moment it was like, she married this guy, I was like, I bet he was a participant.
The impression that I got of him leaving her alone was like he was off doing battles and
he was literally too busy to know. Killing in a different fashion.
Like, he probably knew and was like, cool, whatever, do what you want, just hold up the fort.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's true. It was, aristocrats of the 16th century.
So she was very cruel to her servants, very cruel to the peasants that lived in the area. Apparently there was one girl who had been caught trying to steal food And so she had her tied to a tree and covered in honey.
To just have the bugs eat her or something eat her?
Bugs.
There's
maybe,
bears.
Baby, yeah, I was
in
gonna say maybe a
Austria.
bear.
Well, I don't know where they were, but I do imagine there might have been bears.
Winnie
Which
the
would be
Pooh.
unfortunate.
Winnie the Pooh.
That'd be a
I don't know
very
if I'd
bad
do
way to
better.
go out.
Yeah.
Wasps, maybe?
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was curious what they were specifically trying to attract with that.
Yeah.
You can attract Pokemon with honey in Generation 4.
Well, you
so-
just imagine being like, for some reason, I imagine she's tied to this tree naked.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Because why wouldn't she be? But just imagine the insects and just maybe like rodents and who knows what,
Ants.
just getting all over ya.
Yeah, that's actually pretty fucked up when you really think. It sounds kind of like you're kind of like not even as bad as waterboarding. But then, like when you really like put thought into it, that's pretty fucked up.
No, that's
You
what
gotta
I
really
yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, I like how I'm literally sitting here going, but what did she die of? That's what I'm curious. Did the bear
I know,
get her?
me
Did
too.
the bugs
Like,
get her?
Exposure,
Did
maybe?
the
Like, if
elements?
something didn't get her, probably exposure.
See, that's what I thought. I would think elements would get you sooner, but then again, I live in America, and
Well,
our
tell me,
wildlife is plainer.
Ravel,
so-
would you prefer some of the other things she did, like taking strips of oil paper and lighting them between people's toes? Would you prefer that?
Yeah, there's some like real
know.
dope shit that went down.
Also, we have the option of sticking pins under nails.
Nope, don't like that one.
Did she ever get any elephants that she trained to torture people? Because like,
That one didn't come up, man.
okay.
She did throw people out into the winter night naked and wet for them to freeze to death.
Yeah, oh, man. Yeah, I guess you just start running and hope you hit a house that will let you in.
So her husband, Count Nadas D, I said that off the top of my head, he dies in 1604, which kind of leaves her room to, I guess, do whatever the hell she wants. And she starts experimenting with sorcery, I guess.
Not a good Catholic, this woman.
Maybe triggered by the death of her husband, but her goal is to retain her youth.
She's got to find a new hubby now, so she's got to be beautiful again.
Maybe she just doesn't want to die. But she becomes She becomes super into virgin blood.
Oh God!
Believing that it would rejuvenate her, and so she would torture these poor girls, cutting them up and whatnot to just soak in their blood. And I wrote down in my notes. Virgin in a cage blood shower.
Oh my God.
So this is one of those stories where it might have just been an over the top embellishment, but the story goes she would throw a poor virgin girl into a spiked cage and have shut it, and it would be raised up, and she would just hang out underneath it as the poor girl bled out on top of her.
I think
I'll take the honey.
Yeah, because they said that she got off on it, and that was part of why she was as crazy as she was about the torture, because it was it went further for this person. That was one of the commonly held theories.
Things don't work out for her in the end. So up to going to 1610. An investigation begins into her affairs and what she's been up to. But the interesting part is that the people investigating were these officials who also happened to want her land and her castle.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Part of this is that I was like, okay, what if all of what we know about her is bullshit? Because sometimes that happens too.
Yeah.
And it's just so turns out they wanted her land, and she was a woman who probably banged women.
Oh man.
It's possible that she was
but
not
I think
the
she
greatest
was
person.
Straight up a serial killer, though. I trust that she was probably straight up a serial killer. So I'm interested to see what if there are any Countess Bathory truthers out there. I'd like to know.
So, she got any
Please
defenders?
email us, let us know.
Yeah.
So reportedly they find like 50 bodies and like documentation from over the years of like 600 victims.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, not great. Not great at all. I feel like that is over the top though.
Yes.
I mean, how many peasants could you possibly have access to?
That's an entire hamlet right there. Like, 600 people might even be considered a town back then.
Yeah.
Her cohorts or her accomplices, one of them, for punishment-wise, one of them gets beheaded. He gets let off easy, I think, because 2 others had their fingers pulled off with hot pincers and then burned alive. As if the first part wasn't bad enough. Bathory herself she was walled into a room in her own castle with only a small slit where she could then be, like, fed through. And so she got very little light. I assume that means she was walled in there and had a shit in there and everything, and she survived in there for 4 years before she died in 1614.
Jesus Christ, what a way to just kill her. What the fuck?
Holy shit.
That's insane.
Yeah. God damn it.
I can't imagine living 4 years in that type of confined space.
Yeah, no. I don't know. Yeah, fuck that. No, thank you.
Yeah, fuck that. No thanks.
Alright, so moving on. That was the Elizabeth Bathory. So moving on to a historian named Montague Summers, who in 1928, he pens pretty much the first serious study of the vampire, and so I think that was called The Vampire, His Kith and Kin. And that holds the real-life account from Serbia of this Serbian farmer. So here's my second. I'm throwing in a second possible real-life vampire account. 1727, we have a Serbian farmer named Arnold Paloi, who fought during the war, and in Greece, he claims that in Greece, during the war, he's attacked by a vampire, but he fends it off, tracks it down, and kills it. But to keep from becoming one, and this is the first time I'd learned of this option, to keep from becoming one, he eats dirt from its grave and smothers himself in its blood.
Okay, whatever works.
Heard that. I've heard something to do with vampire grave dirt before.
I've heard of eating their ashes.
Yeah, I've heard of that. And then I guess the grave dirt was something else. That was something where he had to, like, carry his grave dirt with him to, like, that was some other dumb Dracula shit I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure that originates from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, that's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah. Paloi returns home. He's living his life, doing his farming, falls off a hay wagon and breaks his neck.
God damn it. I survived the vampire, but not gravity. Shit.
Oh no. Alright.
He breaks his neck and dies soon after, and he's buried. Lovely memorial. And then guess what happens?
It didn't work.
His body disappears.
A month later, reports and sightings of Paloi coming around at night to locked doors and barred windows and just attacking people and livestock. And
with his broken neck?
Dude, that wasn't in the notes, but could you imagine that? This vampire has a broken neck.
I'm thinking of it right now, and I hate it a lot.
That is a beautiful image.
All I was
Thank you
about.
for that.
Wow. Because I was thinking about it in horrifying 80s era practical effects style, and I hated the shit out of every second.
I am loving that image. Thank you. Wow. That made the story so much better for me. So 4 different people who claim to have been visited by Paloi during the night die. So 40 days after his death, his body's exhumed, and the documentaries say looking fresh in appearance and soaked in blood, and my mind immediately went like, he was looking fresh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
With his broken neck.
Covered in blood.
So they exhume him and they burn his body. That is the end of Paloi. Now to just kind of start wrapping up my notes, we're going to get into some of like the first literary works of the vampire. In 1819, maybe I should get into this. So we all know Lord Byron, Lord Byron.
Mm-hmm.
No, what?
What?
Was friends with Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. They would have their little writers get together.
The homos, just all that
The
shit.
homos? What?
I'm just like, the writing circles of Victorian England were some shit.
Yes.
But I'm much more familiar with Mary Shelley, but I wasn't sure, like, who? What?
Oh, yeah.
Once upon a time, Lord Byron had
a well-known homosexual. That is the whole point there.
Who apparently, because I'm gonna back what Ophelia said, because my mind immediately went, he hired what was it? What's a word for doctor, but it isn't doctor? Physician. He hired this guy named Polidori to travel with him. And he's traveling with Lord Byron for a while. He's there at some of the gatherings with Mary Shelley and the little writers group. And then apparently Lord Byron gets, like, tired of Polidori and is, like, writing shit to him to other writers.
Oh, man, talking shit.
Yeah, and I need you guys to watch this documentary, especially you, Ophelia, because they have these reenactors playing out the little, like, get-togethers, and it's just, like, Lord Byron's, like, an asshole. Mary Shelley's talking shit about Polidori's story that he shared. And it's just like...
it's a mess. These people were so fucking dramatic. He was bisexual, that's what it was. He wasn't...
Okay.
Yeah. He had just a fucking huge mess. Like, they were all messes. They were all really high on opium all the time, too. Which, like...
Oh, what a time to be a writer.
Fucking yeah, though.
Byron proposes a challenge. They all present a story, and it's well known because this is where Mary Shelley first presents her idea that would become Frankenstein. At that same thing, Lord Byron presents this story about these two friends, or these two men, and one bangs the other sister. I don't remember the details of it.
Whatever fucking drama.
Yeah, whatever drama Lord Byron came up with. And Polidori presents the story about some woman who had a skull face, and Mary Shelley talks shit about it later. And then Lord Byron is like, you know what, I'm done with you, Polidori. Y'all can fuck off. Like, please go. Just take your bag and go. And Polidori is like, because he was technically working for Lord Byron, so he had money, like severance pay, but he burns through that. And just, like, the reenactment of this man, and he's drinking, and he's writing this story. He takes...
Mary Shelley was raised by a fucking anarchist. Like, a straight up, like, politically an anarchist of that time. Which is so fascinating to me. I'm like, no wonder she was savage. She's like, I don't do shit. Like,
oh my god.
A fucking anarchist political philosopher. Incredible, you guys. Incredible. This is the best shit I've ever read. Sorry. Okay, continue.
So Polidori takes the pretty much the premise that Lord Byron had presented at their little story sharing thing, and he writes in 1819 Vampire, a Tale. And so that gets circulated, but there's this, like, I think it was a Genevan press or something that accidentally credits the story to Lord Byron, yeah!
Oh.
And so Polidori, like, writes this letter as, like, your Genevan correspondent has made a terrible error, and, you know, this is my story, and yeah, Lord Byron commented these parts, but it's my story and whatnot. But his story does spark this interest and craze in vampires across Europe. There is a play adaptation that's done by a French author named Charles Nodier.
Fucking French people would love vampires.
And then that sparks even more plays and whatnot. But Polidori's story presents the idea of the vampire being this aristocratic noble, you know, who toys with man for his amusement, and both his amusement and nourishment. And
so that's whatnot. Where we get that, like, archetype, huh?
Mm-hmm. And before Polidori can, like, copyright that idea, his I think the publisher it was copyrights it, so they pretty much steal it from him.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. So he doesn't see, like, anything from that. So, you know, Polidori does what probably any writer would at that point. He drinks some acid and kills himself.
Oh my god.
Okay. Alright. Did this dude, like, what the fuck? How do I spell this guy's name? Why is this so hard? I hate all these people.
Polidori.
Thank you.
He was just done.
Oh, but the best part of like those reenactment segments is when he when the dude drinks the poison and immediately is like and slams onto the desk.
Oh God!
Oh no, I'm gonna have to watch this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was 25 when he killed himself.
Oh my God! Chill, dude.
Guys, do you have any idea how overdramatic people in the romantic movement were? Like, I don't think that, because I'm sitting here like, of course they decided he was some, like, fucking hedonist aristocratic, like, vampire. Like, are you kidding? Like, God, of course. Everything about this, I'm just like, you guys were a mess. Look at this man's face. He looks like he wore so much makeup.
Are you linking a picture?
I should. He's beautiful. He looks exactly like fucking Taika Waititi's characters in What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do. Oh my God, I'm glad you brought that up too. I'm gonna bring that up later. Oh, that's hilarious.
Because, like, how? How does this dude look like this on purpose? Also, he is a Virgo. That's important information.
Moving on with the literary vampire, we're gonna go 1841. And maybe I should copy and paste this one for Ophelia to read.
Because I can do Russian.
Alright, impress us, Ophelia. Read that name for me.
Oh, Alexei Konstantinovich Tolstoy.
Yeah.
Good job. So in 1841, his writing, his work Upira introduces the literary vampire to Russia. He follows that up with another work called clapping for some reason. By the another piece called The Family of Vordelak, and that one is about a French diplomat who stays with this peasant family in Serbia, and one dude who has returned from slaying some vampire ends up turning into one and changes his whole family into vampires. And oh my God, listen to that rain.
I can hear it. Wow.
And that window's closed. Let's hear it with the window open! Sorry, guys.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's not fair at all. Give it back.
It's extra loud because my window opens up to the deck, so it's beating down on lovely wood.
Oh, that's not fair. It says it's raining right now, but it's fucking lying to my ass.
Aww. Okay, 1847, moving on, because I'm almost done with my notes, and I want to hear what you guys got to tell. 1847, James Malcolm Reimer expands on Polydor's story, and he creates a serialized novel, Penny Dreadfuls, called Varney the Vampire.
Barney.
And that
it.
goes on for a long while, and that actually gets reprinted. And then 1872, we have what is considered one of the first true Gothic vampire stories, is Carmilla, from Irish author Josephine Thomas Sheridan Le Fanu. And not only does that one not only introduces some of those themes of sexualism, but it also pretty much has a lesbian romance between the protagonist and the female vampire.
Yeah, I was like, this one sounds familiar for some reason. What was it? Oh, lady gays.
Lesbians. Yeah. And then, of course, lastly, we have, well, probably not last, but I'm gonna just get to the end here. Bram Stoker, who was
my boy.
Working as a theater manager. He starts to hear all these different accounts and reports of vampirism that are actually coming over from early America. And in 1897, he produces Dracula, which you should all be familiar with.
Also, he is a Scorpio, because of course he was.
Whoa. Says a lot, yep.
And he was part of the dark romanticism literary movement, which is why it's like it revived, it was thematically very similar to the early romanticism movement that produced Polydor's story, but was more sexual and bloody.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, blood and sex.
I'm going to cut this out, but I was about to say two of my favorite things. I'm cutting that out.
As a fellow water sign, no?
Well, that was fascinating because I did not realize that Bram Stoker actually came much later into the game of vampires.
Oh, yeah. Dude, fucking modern vampire lore and stuff. and just like how many different, I don't know, I've always loved vampire novels in particular because of like how much you're kind of allowed to play with it, even though that's the thing too.
Sparkly.
People rip on Twilight. People rip on Twilight
yeah.
all the time, but listen, it is the tradition of fucking vampires that you're allowed to change it up a little bit and add a little bit of your own fucking flair, alright?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does. Every single person does. And even if it's dumb, you're still allowed to do it. Like,
I mean, yeah, freedom of speech and all that, but that Sparkly Vampires is pretty dumb, Stephanie Meyer.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, we can all agree, fuck Twilight. But Ophelia does have a point.
Okay, you know what? All of the other all the characters outside of the main characters in Twilight are great. Alright? Like, the whole fucking, like, vampire family, fantastic. Like, I really wish that we got to know more about these characters. So I'll have you know that there are some pretty great characters in Twilight. They're just not the main character.
I've heard people say that before.
Yeah. It's the worst part, is that all the supporting cast, fantastic. Types of characters where you're like, I like the dynamic of that character, and I'd like to know more about them. And then they're just like, but you never will. Like,
I was on Twitter, and someone had posted what was, I guess, a clip of one of the movies where they're playing a fucking baseball game.
The baseball clip, yeah.
And I was like, this is a fucking joke. Like, did this really happen in the movies? Like, is this really a thing? Like, what the fuck is this? I almost sent it to Ray Bell being like, what the fuck is this?
I saw that in theater. My mother brought me along with several of her coworkers, and me and my friend got into it. Yep.
Fucking Brett was watching, she put Van Helsing on, like, the movie with
Hugh Jackman?
Thank you. Here's the problem with that movie. I had fucking forgotten I'd seen it in a B theater, a B-reel theater when it came out, like, and I'd forgotten that I'd seen it, and had made fun of it the entire time, to the point where I got pulled aside, a young teenager, and was told that I was rude throughout the movie.
Oh my God.
I'd forgotten even witnessing that movie until watching it on fucking TV like 2 days ago, and I was like, wow, this is immeasurably bad. Like, I can't tell exactly what they're trying to do with this movie. I'm like, all right, are they taking it too seriously? Is it supposed to be a comedy? And it's not supposed to be a comedy, but nobody delivers their lines as though they take acting in that film seriously.
So did Brett have to pull you aside and say you were being rude?
I really wish. Oh, poor vampire movies. They don't deserve this.
I gotta say, is Twilight better than Van Helsing?
Yes.
That's great.
I need to watch the last two simply because the part where the baby has to be eaten out of her stomach, I need to see them have filmed that.
Oh God, what?
Yeah, I hear that that's actually in there. Yes, at some point, because, you know, her vampire baby is growing too fast in her stomach. Because the vampire baby, like, grows at, like, twice the rate of regular people or some shit. So then it's gonna kill her, and so Edward has to eat it out of her stomach.
What?
Yep.
No! You're writing for teenagers. Make up your mind. You can't have something hardcore like that and then have sparkling vampires.
Yeah.
No sense. I'm so upset now.
You're like, I'm so angry. It's bullshit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm just like kind of like furious that I love that concept of like having to eat the baby out and how fucking horrible that is, and I love how horrible that is. But then the fact that it's in Twilight makes me so angry.
Literally so right? You're like, what? This is so metal, but Twilight.
I wondered how that happened. Like, I'm like, they had to have done something weird, censored it, something's going on there.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Fucking.
Someone said they included the scene.
I'm in denial.
Someone said they did,
that.
so I was like, what?
I to believe that. So I just want to put in real quick. If you have Amazon Prime, definitely check out Monsters Among Us. It's a really cool documentary series, 7 parts. Really liking it so far. There is some stuff in there that I left out of my notes, but for the most part, my notes was just all that first episode, but it goes on to talk more about Bram Stoker, Vlad the Impaler, how Dracula did. They actually covers a lot of cool stuff about Bela Lugosi, which was really cool to see. So definitely check out the series. I'm still finishing it, but yeah, I've really liked it so far.
Do they have one on werewolves?
I have not gone that far, but they probably do.
Good. They better.
All right, so Ophelia So while I covered a rough history of the vampire, Ophelia and Revel have pulled up real life vampire shit. So, Ophelia.
Sort of.
Sort of.
It's, because the truth is always way more disappointing than what they think is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So ours are related to each other, and mine is from the very beginning of some fun journey. And the fun journey is Americans be dumb. But also, there's a lot of fun cultural folklore in New England. And during the 1840s, that is how we totally talked at that point in time, there were thought to be many a vampire situation. And apparently this happened. Oh, yeah. So, New England vampire panic is what is referred to as this total thing. And what was fascinating about it when I looked it up, outside of just this particular case that I was looking at, was that this shit lasted for like 60 to 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, similar to Salem witch trials, kind of like, damn, crazy stuff going on in New England. Because, like, here's the deal with New England. These motherfuckers had 200 extra years of crazy-ass white people history. Before 1776, right? So, like, New England has its own very special, like, American sort of cultural history that is so deeply religious as well, because of the religious aspects of, like, Puritanism that were over there that kind of, like, influenced the culture of the region, and, like, a lot of the, like, rural communities were practicing a lot of pretty extremos faith in a lot of these areas. Because they had a lot of religious convictions that put them there in the first place, right? Because, anyway, small history of New England being fucking intense and crazy, but I say this as someone who grew up in America on the West Coast, where our history is, we've been here for like 50 fucking years, and we spent all that time being horribly racist to Chinese people who built the whole side of this world. So, like, back to New England, where it's ridiculous and fun. In the 1990s, some kids in Jewett City, Connecticut, some kids were playing around, found some bodies, freaked out, like found some bones, freaked out, told their parents, and their parents called the cops. And the cops were like, okay, maybe it's a serial killer, because, like, this is a lot of bodies, this is a lot of bones. And then it turns out, no, they, like, got an archaeologist involved. Because you just have those on hand. But usually you have to bust them out when it's bones. And then you bust out your pocket archaeologist, you go, bitch, what's up?
Explain.
Explain. America, explain. So these kids are finding these bones. Talk to the cops. Cops bring in archaeologist. Archaeologist checks out the bones, goes, no, these bones are fucking old. These bones are from, like, 1840, right? So don't worry about it. It's not a serial killer from today. Also, these bones, mad consumption. But that's probably not what they would have said at that point. These bones, tuberculosis bones. Very obvious. Yeah. Like, because there's, like, there's markers in there's a lot of shit you can learn from bones. That's why there was a whole TV show based on this whole fucking science. Anyway, then they're wondering, why do we have 29 bodies in unmarked graves? Oof. So further research leads them to discovering that this is the family of, which family was this? Because there were two families and they're very close together. And I'm just going to read you an article now. Now I'm just going to read, because it's more logical than me. So
you can do this.
Because it's fascinating stuff, but I thought I could remember it all in order, but I was not able to. So in this particular case, this family was the Rays of Jewett City, so R-A-Y-S, the Rays, who over the course of 9 years lost multiple family members to consumption, which is now known as tuberculosis. The first to die of the mysterious disease was 24-year-old Lemuel, like Samuel but with an L. In 1845, less than 4 years later, family patriarch Henry B. Ray was felled by the same disease. He was followed to the grave in the same manner by 26-year-old son Elisha only 2 years after. Oh. And so what ended up happening, and what was commonly believed, because these families were like huge farming families, and they were out in like relatively rural areas, they thought that when one member of their family got tuberculosis and was dying from it, because I don't know how much y'all know about tuberculosis, but it absolutely looks like you are slowly dying of a vampire taking your life force. Like, that makes complete sense. Mm-hmm. So, like, because you would waste away, and you would be coughing up blood. One of the fun facts that they don't tell you, like, one of the fun things is that we don't really know about tuberculosis is you bleed from, like, everything when you've got TB, like...
Oh, God.
Kind of like Ebola, similar. So it's like the coughing up blood thing, usually, like, or you might not, because there's different kinds of tuberculosis. So tuberculosis of the lungs is the particular one where you end up coughing up blood. but which would definitely make you look like a fucking vampire, right?
Mhm.
But that was also the most common in that era because it's airborne, right?
Mhm.
Right.
But tuberculosis
Right.
itself, like, you can get tuberculosis of the liver and shit, and they're like different strains of tuberculosis. So, which would also, like, you would waste away, but you might not think it's the same thing. And so, yeah, anyway, tuberculosis, you start wasting away, you get real thin, you start coughing up blood. I don't know if I've mentioned this one before, but in the Victorian era, which we were recently discussing, it was also, for a while there, quite desired to deliberately give yourself consumption because
Why?
you looked hot as hell if you didn't have to put a bunch of makeup on for your skin to just look white.
But you're
Like-
dying.
But you're dying. Yes, you are. But the thing is, it probably wouldn't even hurt that much because all you had to take for it was loads of opium. So
Oh,
you're
okay.
just like high on opium all the time. There's poison in your makeup, so you might as well just get a disease to not have to wear makeup anymore every day.
When you preface this with America is dumb, I did not even consider how
That was English.
where this was going.
That was English.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was this.
man.
We're talking Victorian England again.
Yeah. Although
Remind me
Victorian
when we're
era
done.
America was pretty crazy too.
Remind me when we're done. There's this channel that will like cover different things from the Victorian era and how they were all death traps.
Mhm.
Oh god, that whole Oh yeah. I mean, also they were giving liquid fucking opium to babies. They were
I
like,
was
the
gonna
toddler
say-
won't shut the fuck up, just lauding them that baby. Oh. Like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Just like, a little bit much, and your baby for some reason died. Okay, like they're just like, I don't know, SIDS, I guess. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
okay,
say, must have been the SIDS.
Oh my god.
that shit happened all the time. There was these mysterious baby illnesses, and they were like, why are our babies dying? And then it was like, oh, because you accidentally gave them too much fucking liquid opium.
No,
That's
no.
why
It's
you
clearly
killed your
the
baby. That's
flying
the
lady.
answer.
It was the flying lady. That other one. She came in with her big old tongue and ate the baby.
She ate the baby. Exactly. So, yeah, Severin's dying of consumption. And so what they thought at the time, the common folklore was, after one of the family members died of tuberculosis and was buried, that they must be picking off the rest of the family members.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're coming back and picking off the rest of the family members. And, of course, tuberculosis looks hella like getting murdered by vampires. So, after one of the girls dies and another kid gets sick, in order to try to, heal him, they go out and exhume the grave of first dead family member, and then they take their heart and their liver out and burn them,
Mm-hmm.
mix them into, an ashy paste,
Yep.
and then have the sick person drink it.
Yep. Yep.
And that person, one of them I think lived in one of the families, because mine is two. They're very similar, but they were 20 years apart, so it's hard to remember. It was the family of the Waltons and the family of the Rays, because I believe the Ray family was the one in Jewett City and the Waltons were elsewhere. And so, but it was because they had heard from a neighboring farm family, 20 years ago this shit happened, this is what we had to do, right? So okay, I guess that's what we're doing. And what was unique about the second family was that one of the patriarchs still, he lived through it, they discovered, because they noticed his bones. So, this dude died of natural causes. But there was one where one of the family members had a mausoleum, and when they cracked that one open, they found the bones had been rearranged in a ritualistic fashion, which is, not something that, it's sometimes they do that, I guess, but, normally it was just you worry more about burning the organs, right? But so for some reason, this body in the mausoleum had its head detached from the spine and had so they'd turned the torso onto its front, so it was laying face down, and then they'd taken the head off and put the skull out with two bones crossed in front of it, like a skull and crossbones, pirate style.
Oh my god.
And and I'm still stuck on that, what the fuck? What the fuck is this vampire shit? I straight up am looking shit up, I'm like, alright, we wrote Treasure Island when?
Yeah.
When people were...
Well,
Treasure Island was 1890s. This
what
was
I understand
1840s.
about this is that the reason they rearranged the bones was because the intention was to get in there
back together, they couldn't...
Yeah, because the intention was, okay,
Okay.
get in there, get the organs, get the heart usually. But if the heart was already gone, it had already, rotted away, they were like,
yeah.
oh shit, what now? We'll rearrange the bones, maybe that'll work,
That makes sense.
Okay, that's valid. But yeah, so apparently this crazy shit happened to, started in the early 1840s. And it was a common folklore accepted thing that, like, and of course the germ theory of disease didn't happen until 1888. I went and looked this shit up. I was like, when would we have started? And then, of course, that wouldn't have led to us immediately understanding what tuberculosis was.
That
took
taken so long.
So long. And of course, and for the record, as a caveat, I do not mean to make too much fun of tuberculosis, because let's not forget that one, it seems like it doesn't happen to us anymore. It doesn't here. There are kinds of tuberculosis that are antibiotic resistant.
Oh, God.
Now, there are, like, 3 different strains of like, super strong antibiotic resistant tuberculosis that kill loads of people in Africa all the time in current day. And so that's, like, a huge thing that we are trying to actively stop. So, fun PSA awareness. Tuberculosis isn't gone. It got stronger and is scarier now. Like,
just remember, guys, that could be the next apocalypse disease. That's always a possibility.
So that's another fun awareness fact.
Yay!
Also,
we're all about positivity on this podcast.
We're all about positivity on this podcast. Also, do not pick up bats that you find on the ground. They can bite you and give you the rabies.
Oh, God.
This is my fun PSA for October. This is the Spooktober PSAs. Don't pick up bats on the ground. I had never seen bats in the wild. Have you guys ever seen bats in the fucking wild, speaking of vampires?
Oh, yeah, I lived in Florida, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, because, like, I never fucking see bats. But now I see bats.
I'll see them once in a while in the evening at night, yeah. Like, I saw one, like, a week or two ago.
Also, armadillos give you lupus, so don't mess with wildlife.
Wait, you can contract lupus?
Because what is it? Leprosy, sorry, my brain.
Oh. I was like, okay. So I was like, if I can contract lupus, I'm fucked. That means I absolutely have.
No, sorry. I was like, which is the one that? What is it? What did Jesus cure? Oh yeah, the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't mess with wildlife. I guess
don't touch wildlife.
I guess I could segue into mine real quick because it was also in New England, and I think it was.
Yours is cooler than mine.
I think it's interesting though that, like you'd mentioned, the germ thing came out in, like, about 88.
Yeah, because yours is, like, a little bit later, which is what I was so fascinated by. Yeah. But, so, it wouldn't have made it to them by that point.
Yeah, exactly. So this was, and I think it's interesting how this stuff spreads, too. Like you said, yours was it Connecticut? And this this is in Exeter, Rhode Island. So it traveled. This, they say, is the most, it's the most recorded of a body being exhumed. Like, they know for a fact this happened, kind of thing. So, this was the story of Mercy Brown, not Murphy Brown, and not an Overwatch character. So yeah, like, and I think it was interesting, like Ophelia was saying in, the stories, unfortunately, because of how it traveled, it always usually started with one family member, and then it just wiped the entire family out, because you're living in these quarters, you know.
And so it's like these big farming families, so it's like them on their big farm, and of course the only other people they're seeing to give their TB to is each other.
Yep. So it was in 1886 that Mary, the mother of Mercy, she dies first, and then the eldest daughter, Mary Olive, she dies not long after the mother. And so the thing that I thought was kind of sad about it is you're like, okay, 1886, them two died. And you'd think, well, that's it, right? But no, then Mercy herself and then her brother Edwin both end up getting it in 1981 or 1991 or
1891. I feel you.
Yeah, so it's kind of a shame that, a good, 5 years passed, after they die, and then they get it still. So as it goes on, I thought it was interesting. Edwin, the son, gets sent to Colorado because, again, we didn't know nothing about tuberculosis. They thought the arid weather would allow him to recover in Colorado. And I imagine how long that must have took to travel to Colorado back then without a plane. Holy
Imagine
crap.
how many other people this person gave TB to on the way to Colorado.
Oh, no.
Not a good idea. So he goes there at this, I forgot what they didn't really give it a name. I assume it was kind of a hospice or something like that, where just, all these tuberculosis people just were hanging out, trying to get better. And unfortunately...
Oh, yeah, when they quarantined them in those tuberculosis wards.
Yeah.
We had that shit all the time.
Yeah.
And then they were always like, yeah, because they always thought that those people needed to breathe, like, better air and stuff. So they would, like, put these, like, tuberculosis wards, too, like, out in the middle of the fucking woods and shit. So, oh my god, it's like the creepiest shit in the world. They're just like, yeah, we created a death factory on an island in the middle of nowhere. And anyway, American history's terrifying.
Or in Colorado, you know.
They're like, and then we made it a mental health institution for, like, sanatorium for, like, 300 years. Basically, we manufactured the most haunted places in the world. Like,
Yep. So he's off for a while, and he doesn't get better. So he ends up coming back, and, like, the understanding is he's coming back to die, pretty much. Meanwhile, Mercy's, her condition worsens, and I guess she had, like, you're talking about strings. I don't think the thing I read went into, like, what string it was, but apparently it was one of the bad ones, because she dies pretty fast, unfortunately, as opposed to Edwin, who I guess is able to kind of keep going for a while. So she passes on. She passes on in the winter. He comes back, and of course, now, like you'd mentioned, the old folklore is basically, hey, we're gonna blame family members. They're sucking the life from you, even though they're now dead. So, vampires.
Yeah.
And now this is where I heard it, this kind of, spoken, the kind of, depending on, like, the context, I heard it kind of presented several different ways. So George the father, he does not want to, you know, the villagers are starting to get uppity about it. Like, clearly we got some undead activity. Supposedly, some people reported that they saw Mercy walking around the graveyard or walking across farm land.
Oh, I bet they were hallucinating crazy shit.
Like, I'm sorry, and you know this was her. How exactly? But, you know, there was...
back when little girls had 3 haircuts.
Yeah, there was one when that it was mentioned that they saw a light over her grave, so it's just like aliens now, I guess.
Well, I guess it was like a glowing orb that like was hovering right over the ground of the grave.
Yeah. So, but so as this kind of goes on, the villagers get uppity, and so this is where it's like George, for the most part, does not want to. He doesn't want to bother his, you know, the graves of his family. Some say he only agreed to it because finally he just had to appease the neighbors. Some say it's because he was absolutely desperate to, like, he just didn't know what else to do. His son was dying. Hell, why not give it a go, even though he didn't really seem to believe in it, you know? So depending on how the tale goes, there was you know, his reason for why he finally agreed kind of is a little bit, you know, skewed. But so he can't bear to do it. So one source said that it was basically he asked like 4 of his friends to do it because he just couldn't be a part of it. So of course they dig up the graves of all of them for a start, and they look at Mary, who's the mother, and Mary Olive, the eldest daughter, and they've been dead for years now, so they look well decomposed. Say, yes, it's not them. But Mercy, however, they find her on her side. So that's like the one thing I guess first makes them go, but then also, let's see, I wrote it down. So her nails and hair had continued to grow, supposedly. That's a common thing.
Yeah, and that's not your nail. Fuck, why can't I talk? Your nails and hair don't actually grow. It's just your skin shrinking. Yeah.
It's not of 2. It's like, how did you even remember how long her hair was when you buried? Like, you know what I mean? Just what? Yeah. So, anyways, they
used to like do that creepy shit where they cut your hair off and like put it in like
like morning wear.
That was later, like a little bit later. But it's like I feel like the tradition of just keeping people's hair existed during this Civil War before. So I bet they might have taken a lock of it when she died. So maybe that was when they made a note of it.
But anyways, that they say her face still looked flushed supposedly, and she was too well preserved. That being said, the thing that I find really fascinating about this is that, as it's been pointed out, is she died in the winter. Mm-hmm.
It was refrigerated.
Yeah. New England, it's so cold out. They said they had kept, because the ground was too hard to dig up. Yeah, they couldn't even bury her at first, so they kept her in a above ground, crypt where they said was pretty much exactly like operating a refrigerator or a freezer, you know? So by the time that they did bury her, it was like, yeah, of course she looked preserved. It had only been like a few months. It was freezing cold. It's New England. So, the doctor, I guess, supposedly, he just thought this whole thing was ridiculous, but he agreed that he's gonna, check it, anyways, but he just was like, she clearly died of tuberculosis. This is ridiculous. There was liquid blood found in the heart and liver, so obviously vampire. But that being said, they said it's much more likely that the blood coagulated and then liquefied again, because of her being frozen and preserved. So.
Oh, yeah. That would explain that.
Yep. So they do the whole bullshit thing, like you mentioned. They burn the heart and the liver on a nearby rock. They take the ashes, give it to Edwin, and he dies 2 months later. So it did not work. Surprise, surprise. They take what's left of her body and they do rebury it at like a church and everything. But and the other thing that was the one part of this that is potentially very horrifying is because people were like, well, how do you, what about the being on her side situation, right? Some people theorize that she might have been on her side because she had been not completely dead, but if she's out in the cold, she's probably dead, and it was probably a weird error or something like that. But yeah, it was a real shame just that this George was basically forced to have his whole family exhumed and then watched his last son die. And
after feeding him his daughter's ashes.
Yep. So that's the tale of a mercy. And again, this was only in 1892. So this is where you kind of scratch your head and going, this was we had some science going on at that time, but not enough. People were still
not enough that it wasn't readily available, and it would have been really hard for people to let go of their superstitions and now accept this science. What is a science?
Yeah,
germs. What are germs?
Look at today. We still have anti-vaxxers, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's a whole deliberate
other
thing. Operation.
We're not gonna. Yeah.
This one too. They said, this was the one that's, I think one of you mentioned, scholars think that Bram Stoker had heard of this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently for the exhumation of her, they had a journalist come along.
Yes, that was the other.
Yeah, write an article. And so that is what I found fascinating. And it's like, oh my god, so that would have been 1892. So he absolutely would have read it. Like, of course they would.
The journalist.
These morbid-ass motherfuckers are just like chilling around. They're like, where's the creepy news? Who's got the creepy news? Like, they'd be all over all of it.
So the journalist apparently was one of the ones as well who said that they felt this was only being done to appease the neighbors who were getting antsy.
Really crazy and uppity? Yeah.
So, I can't even imagine that, like, literally just people coming. I mean, we can't imagine it nowadays for sure because of the rights of people after death and everything. The idea that someone's just like, yeah, we're gonna exhume this body without a permit or anything like that. Just, oh, how the times have changed.
Yeah, no. If you had enough people start to believe one thing, and they got to the point that they were pressuring the few who held on to reason, like, you just get swept away by it. It is so scary.
I'm sure George, poor George, watching his family, he was just kind of like, well, fucking, I can't take it anymore. Just do what you do.
At that point,
stop reminding me of the fact that my entire family's dead.
Yeah, you would be so broken and just like, how could you fight it at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any last thoughts you guys want to share on vampires?
I think what's interesting is that Twilight really repopularized the vampire for a while, but now I feel like it kind of has gone to the wayside a bit again.
So,
so we can go back to loving
much overtake. Yeah,
it can go back to it like nerds.
Definitely rose because of Twilight, but then The Walking Dead came out, and then zombies was the huge thing.
Yeah, we really rotate through them. I feel like
when we're like 50, vampires will be a thing again, and then
vampires will probably come back during the inevitable revolution when everybody needs a symbol for the bourgeoisie. I'm sure they'll come back around.
But yeah, I'm just doing that. What is there supernatural that's famous right now? Zombies are kind of done. Vampires are kind of done.
Zombies are fading out. I don't know. We'll see what the next new monster craze is gonna be. Let's wrap this up.
We've gone over our limit now.
We've gone well over our limit. We're not gonna do Silver Bullet news, just because we're already pretty lengthy with this episode, and I totally forgot to do research for it because I wanted to do a special Silver Bullet news, but we'll definitely do that next time.
It's October. Gotta do it at some point. There's gotta be some good news.
October, and I forgot I wanted to do a second episode for October, so we might have to scramble and do that. Keep an eye out for that, listeners. Thank you. Okay. You guys remember your lines?
Nope.
What?
It's been too long now.
You guys should have these ingrained, and
I'm Griffin McElroy, your 30th degree media luminary. I got somebody else's memorized. Does that work?
Yep.
oh my god.
Stay sexy and don't get murdered.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh my god. Ophelia gets the first one.
Ready,
Ophelia?
Yes.
we got an Elvis! Does Ophelia want a cookie? The Witching Hour has come to an end. If you like our show, you can help support us by leaving a review on iTunes, or subscribing, or just sharing us with a friend.
You can also find us on Twitter at Witch Hour Horror. If you're up to some horrifyingly creative things and want to talk about it on our podcast, feel free to reach out to us through email or Twitter, or visit us at creativehorror.com.
Want to support the show even more? Check out our Patreon, where you can get audio extras and bonus episodes.
Speaking of Patreon, like we mentioned last episode, we also have a new reward for patrons, which we are calling the 5 o'clock shadow, the Witching Hour after show, where immediately after we finish recording this, we're hitting record again and just going off on whatever tangents we do, and you, as patrons, will get to listen to that, and only you.
Be warned.
So, thank you. Thank you for listening, for spending your time with us. Whatever your creative passion is, horror related or not, get out there and do it because it makes you happy. Get out there because it is October and it is spoopy season, and just go be your spoopy selves. And we hope that you'll join us next time for the Witching Hour.